They say Western media is dead and that the only entertainment worth seeking out comes from across the Pacific. But as much as I'd like to keep up to date with the latest overly polished high school rom-com, my brain works in a funny way where I'm only piqued by what came before, because you don't appreciate what you have until it's gone. Today, we're digging away at a quarter of a century of grime to unearth Blue Gender, a sci-fi horror mecha that got 26 episodes to explore what the fate of humanity may look like should Mother Nature flick us off like George Carlin once predicted.
A surface nuisance.
In 2009, Yuji Kaido's diagnosed with an unknown ailment. But fortunately for him, this 2009 has developed cryogenic freezing for humans, which doctors advise is the best treatment for Yuji, entrusting him with human ingenuity in the future to develop a cure. But rather than staying asleep for a few years, Yuji lays dormant for a few decades, only being awoken by a military squad in a facility that appears less like a hospital and more like a bug's nest. Well, because it is a bug's nest now. Hey, it could have been worse.
Good morning. You have been in suspension for 99999.
Since Yuji went to sleep, Earth went to hell. A breed of lethal bugs simply called the Blue rose to be the dominant species on the planet, reducing much of humanity into spherical cocoons that they feast upon for energy. What's left of the human population are starving husks within the ruins of Earth, or the militant population of Second Earth, who have devoted every aspect of existence to war with the Blue. Yet there may be hope in the form of bolstering their ranks with sleepers like Yuji. The recovery squad that awoke him is led by Marlene Angel, a no-nonsense young soldier from Second Earth who has her hands full when most of her squad's resources are destroyed by the Blue, forcing her and Yuji to hike it across Eurasia for rescue. As the two struggle against the Blue, they begin to form a bond that will come to test the nature of Second Earth's questionable strategy to reclaim their home.
So what you're saying is that saving me was all part of the plan?
Saving you? You've got it all wrong. You just happened to be one of the samples we recovered. Nothing more than that.
What? A sample?
If you're not familiar with Blue Gender, then I must stress that its world is merciless. Now, in a market where buckets of dark and gritty are so widespread it's like on discount or something, that may not sound like much. But be aware that nearly anyone you meet will die. In most cases, it's not a heroic sacrifice either, and its impact is horrific upon Yuji, Marlene, as well as the audience. While such a high body count straddles the line of being cheap shock value, I do feel in a circumstance it goes a long way in building the suspense the audience will have being in this world. Reinforcing the horror is a great soundtrack, which occasionally takes cues from Ennio Morricone's iconic score for The Thing to really build the dread our characters constantly find themselves in. The post-apocalyptic Earth is not unlike one we've seen before, ruined cities and barren plains, but there are details that make it stand out, notably how the Blue have morphed humanity's mightiest structures into their nests, which are all fuzzy fungal looking, and I don't like it in a good way, if that makes sense. As for the Blue themselves, they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes that give them the greatest leverage in any environment. It's established that their lone weak point are these orifices referred to as cores, but as the series progresses, they become more difficult to target. You know the Ohm and other mutated bugs from Nazca Valley of the Wind? Well, where they are framed as misunderstood creatures, the Blue are their roided-up cousins, gnawing apart or outright slicing through their prey. They come in all shapes and sizes and... wait, is that what I think it is?
Graboids.
In the early phases of the Blue outbreak, the high power of humanity plucked a small population they deemed
The cream of the crop.
to devote the rest of their lives to waging war with the bugs. Yeah, this is where the Starship Troopers parallels are brought up. At the start of the series, Marlene is the embodiment of Second Earth's militant lifestyle, a top marksman, a capable grappler, and mission-focused to the bitter end. But But once the recovery team is reduced to just herself and Yuji, her icy attitude gradually melts into the best story arc of the entire show. The Yuji often detours their mission, the plead for bands of survivors they come across. It's through these encounters that Marlene begins to regain a sense of humanity. Her time with Yuji makes her question what she truly wants out of life, dying for a lost cause or attempting to live through an uncertain future. By the time the plot leaves Earth for Second Earth, Marlene finds herself an outsider to the military-industrial complex she was once the ideal tool for. She's put through the ringer by the top brass for her costly recovery mission, being punished both physically and mentally in retraining exercises in a misguided bid to silence her questions. Undaunted, her mission remains the safety of Yuji, but no longer because Second Earth demands it, but because he's the first person to treat her as a proper human. By the final act, Marlene still retains her combat skills, but has come to embrace a maternal side that gives her a fighting chance of surviving in a post-blue world, both as a soft shoulder to lean on in hard times, and a hard shoulder to brute your way through the tougher ones. Her foil for change is Yuji. He's set up as your average Joe from contemporary Japan, working at a gas station and spending free time riding motorcycles with his friend. Wait, there were still pump attendants in 2009? But where Marlene's character arc gradually unfolds across all 26 episodes, Yuji's is a stiff gear shift. You have pity for the guy for the hell he's been put through at the start of the show, and he is unyielding in his commitment to help others. But after being burned countless times by the Blue, you'd expect the guy to get with the program. Then, about midway through the show, he's molded into the perfect killing machine, becoming the pilot for Second Earth's state-of-the-art mech. But his descent into becoming an outright psycho killer of the Blue is not one of progression, but the plot needing to shift from second into overdrive. Once Marlene shakes him out of his funk, he defaults back into his early dense self. I mean, there's a point where a former ally of his has gone completely insane. Everyone in the room can see that it's a threat, yet he engages in a no-win plea to see the light. It gets so ridiculous that one soldier turns into Muldoon from Jurassic Park for a second.
Shoot her! Shoot her!
Yes, there's an in-universe explanation for Yuji's heel turn, one we'll discuss later, but there was an opportunity to progress into this storyline rather than plunge into it. But hey, you can't deny the guy has a good heart, and he has no qualms getting into the goddamn robot. After spending the first third of the series following Yuji and Marlene's escape across Earth, we're plunged into the inner machinations of Second Earth. There's a lot here that's your standard fare for mech anime in the wake of Evangelion. Shadowy council pulling strings, complete with not one but two Gendo lookalikes. Eventually, there's a power struggle developing between the two that our leads find themselves as pawns on both sides of. While interesting from a lore standpoint, this middle phase of the story only really has Marlene for the audience to rally behind. For reasons I'm keeping vague at the moment, Second Earth puts together an elite fighting force that both our leads become attached to. However, while possessing the Double Strike, the best mech design of the series, the personnel I find to be irritating or outright creeps. Some are intentionally detestable, like this gender-bent Elkanah Bent. But then you got Rick, whose lone trait is he has the hots for strong women like Marlene, and he won't let up. And you're surprised that a guy who speaks like this turns heel?
Listen, what you and I did in the past no longer has any meaning. Our lives before now never existed. There's only one thing you should be thinking about from now on, and that's how you're going to survive.
I couldn't wait for the second arc's supporting cast to be swept away by the Blue, which is a far cry from the colorful cast we bump into on Earth.
Well, how about that? Surprised to see you giving up so easily. She's probably just going for a bigger gun.
I've been skirting with spoilers, but now's the point in the video, we must go all in on them. So if you want to hear my final thoughts and if I recommend this show, and judging by the length of this video, I think you can guess I do, skip to this timestamp. If you want to go through the spoilers with me, strap in, no more speaking in riddles. Second Earth's science director, Senyo Miyagi, makes a breakthrough on the origin of the Blue. The root of the Blue outbreak is the B cell, a genetic abnormality that appeared in humans in the early 21st century. Unsure how to respond to it, most scientists called it simply a unspecified ailment and put those with the gene into cryosleep. Scientists trying to figure out what the B cell could be experimented with it on other species. And would you be surprised to learn that this tampering with nature backfired spectacularly? No, who would have thought? It's that tampering which gave rise to the blue outbreak, and the discovery of all these sleepers still on Earth convinced the Second Earth to awaken them to be super soldiers via the Double Strike, a mech designed to tap into the nervous system of sleepers and use their innate abilities, which are kind of ambiguous but seem to have aggressive tendencies, to their fullest. However, it soon becomes apparent that something is very wrong psychologically, as Yuji becomes locked into a pilot rivalry with a sleeper awoken on Earth, Second Earth, Second Earth, get it right, named Tony, who is introduced to us speaking sermons like he's Isaac from Children of the Corn. The two become lethal against the blue and are encouraged by the High Council to keep pushing the envelope. However, through Marlene's assistance, Miyagi discovers the High Council have been suppressing the true statistics of the sleeper's nature, that they are soaring past the point of no return, and they may no longer be human, but themselves blue. This is what kicks off Yuji's turn to the dark side as he becomes ever increasingly aggressive in the Double Strike, as well as leading to a coup d'etat led by Miyagi to usurp the High Council's power. Also, I must mention the Sleeper Brigade is more support team than actual double strikes. Okay, so the High Council were hopeful that the recovery mission Marlene was on would be a big success, but you would think when it wasn't, they would come up with some alternative or go into this with a B plan. Like, there's only 3 sleeper pilots we see in the unit, and Yuji's one of them. Not much of a brigade.
Nah, it'll be fine.
I jabbed at Miyagi earlier for being a Gendo knockoff, but the truth is he's one of the few decent people living on Second Earth. He's a stickler for that Scott Steiner math, but the numbers don't lie. Often you're going to be siding with his assessment of the situation, even when it's the bitter truth.
Once a person wants something, I have no right to tell them that what they desire is wrong, even if I disagree. Here, as long as they cause no harm, everyone is free to do as they please. That is why even you, a sleeper, are allowed to walk freely among the rest of us.
The show sometimes casts doubt on his true morals, I suppose the heightened tensions, but after folding Marlene into the sleeper program to prevent punishment from the council from her being a bit nosy, it's clear he's trustworthy. After going through one hell of a battle with the blue on board Second Earth, Miyagi announces his intentions for its inhabitants to forfeit Earth to the blue in favor of bolstering the stability of Second Earth as their new home. Why live with someone who doesn't want you around? In this case, being Mother Nature. The problem is, Second Earth is a population of humans who have been groomed for one set goal, reclaiming Earth from the blue. It's an environment fabricated to channel all emotions toward that one objective. And when its reality check hits, it doesn't sit well with many on board. Yuji in particular feels lost at the announcement, having been driven near insane for the want of vengeance against the blue, taking everything he's loved away. You know you've gone full retard if it takes your significant other reenacting Joan Bill's argument on Hellstorm Hill to get through to you.
Jesus Christ, listen to yourself, you're obsessed!
You've never seen what that thing can do, so don't talk to me about it! You've never seen it!
It's in these final few episodes that Yuji and Marlene reckon with how alien they truly feel on Second Earth, and come to see life together on Earth as a better alternative. That may seem like a death sentence, but as they've discovered through their journey, there are in fact many pockets of humanity not only surviving but thriving as nomads or in small agrarian communities. How the hell has this happened after so much violence has been perpetrated between the blue and humans? I think it has to do with these pockets of civilization not provoking the bear of Mother Nature with extensive industrialization. It's stated early on the blue feast not only on organic material, but inorganic matter also. And the blues seem to always be fast honing on the recovery team in the early phases of the show, where you have all this technological military equipment. Also reinforces that the whole war between Second Earth and the blue has been futile. I say think because by the end of Blue Gender, every few minutes we're getting a character postulating a new theory on the machinations of the blue. Enough so that by the very end, I'm confused as to what the hell is going on. Apparently Mother Nature has decided at the time of Miyagi's ceasefire to also terminate the blue. As the human population has been reduced to a point, it's no longer a threat to Earth's survival. But then, in the same breath, apparently Mother Nature influences Second Earth to turn on Miyagi, leading to the complete destruction of the station.
I mean, what the hell is going on?
Oh well, at least Marlene and Yuji get their happy ending. And it is genuinely earned by the time you reach the end of the series. Their relationship is symbolic of what the show perceives that makes someone human, the ability to be compassionate. And that ability seems to only be cultivated by respecting Earth itself. Marlene builds compassion through her initial trek across Earth. Yuji loses his compassion once locked into Second Earth's military. Speaking of which, I've barely scratched the surface with his pilot rival in the form of Tony, who becomes the main antagonist at one point in the series. Truth is, I find Tony one of the least compelling characters of the series. The fact nobody sees his misanthropic attitude toward humanity as a red flag makes his eventual attack on Second Earth a facepalm.
I should be able to fight better in this machine. Like Tony does.
Tony? But he's kind of weird, Yuji.
And after going through a whole arc where he questions Marlene's cold actions, Yuji being blind to Tony's psychotic nature because of his speed cells acting up, yeah, I don't buy that excuse. The reason I'm bringing up Tony now is that his initiation into this war with the Blue exhibits just how terrible of an environment Second Earth for humans is. The hyperfixation on defeating the Blue rather than focus on how to evolve human life beyond this point makes them the perfect killing machines, but they're not worried about the next generation of humanity either. I feel the only reason Marlene's able to get Yuji to snap out of his psychosis is having on-the-job training fighting the Blue on Earth. Tony had it all siphoned through the machinations of Second Earth. A society that isn't just unforgiving for failure to meet orders, but one where the only intimacy anyone ever has is with each other groping one another without any purpose, no love for one another, nor even an innate impulse to reproduce. How is someone fighting to save humanity meant to succeed when they themselves have lost their humanity? That's the question a Blue Gender postulates, and it's capable of handling it with the relationship of the leads, but when it has to apply that question to a grander plot with the politics of Second Earth, it does falter in places. Save for a compilation movie back in 2003, Blue Gender remains a standalone property. Though I have my thoughts on ways the latter half of the plot could have been tweaked, I'm satisfied with the ride it was taken on over its 26 episodes. This is just my own 2 cents, but Blue Gender seems to have been influenced not just by the likes of Starship Troopers, but also the Alien franchise and, surprisingly, Nazca Valley of the Wind, in both its lethal creatures and great world building. I also get the sneaky suspicion that the likes of Eureka 7 and 86 took a few notes from Yuji and Marlene's struggle with the Blue. Or maybe that's just my wishful thinking that the anime hasn't simply been forgotten. Funimation originally distributed stateside, but it's one of the many series not available on Crunchyroll since the merger. However, you can at the time of recording spend $20 to watch the whole series for Amazon Prime. There's also many physical copies still floating around, which I'm damn sure going to secure one once I turn off this mic. At the end of the day, this was a show that motivated me enough to finally publish a proper review here on the Fubar Digital Lounge, so I think that's a testament to how much I enjoyed Blue Gender, or at least it got my brain thinking. How much will you get out of it? That's up to you to decide. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about Blue Gender, if you have your own theories about the Blue, you want to completely scathe my horrible mispronunciations. Do all that in the comments. Any comments will improve our chances on being seen by more of an audience here on the TubeU. If you're needing a rating to make you find decide if you're going to watch Blue Gender or not, I give it a 7 out of 10. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to follow us on future videos, and we'll see you next time.